There's nothing I hate more than scuff marks on a wall. ScuffX delivers superior scuff resistance in the most challenging, high-traffic commercial environments, thanks to its patent-pending scuff-resistant technology. Yes, there's people in a lab somewhere thinking about how to keep scuffs off walls. Where we're running around like crazy, there are actually scientists trying to figure this stuff out, and no one's done it better than ScuffX. I would not endorse this product if I didn't believe in this product. As a hotelier, it is so important to solve this problem because we spend so much money, so much time on painting hotel rooms that we finally found the solution. And I don't think anyone does it better than ScuffX. The high-performance ScuffX latex paint reduces the need for touch-ups, repaints, offers significant savings on long-term maintenance costs. And for all the information you need, go to benjaminmoore.com.
It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn, teaching you to be the hotelier that you wanna be. It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn.
Hey, Anthony.
What's your favorite color?
Yellow. What's yours?
Blue.
Really? Why blue? That seems very well. You're wearing a blue suit and a blue shirt. And
I have blue underwear on.
Really?
I have black socks on. But I am fascinated to know what your favorite color is because I was wondering if your favorite color matches your socks.
My socks are blue and gray.
You look
today.
like you're a college kid with those socks on.
Do I look like a college kid? I look like a college kid because I'm like really dressed down compared to you.
So you know what today is? Well, you know why I'm dressed up.
I do know why
you're
our
next guest.
Yeah, but
hold on, before you get to our next guest.
Yeah.
Do you know what today is?
Monday?
Yep, but it's No Socks Monday.
Oh.
Did you know that?
Oh, one of our guests is actually sock free.
No Socks Monday.
Right. I like that, although the people at Hanes are probably very disappointed that they've lost you as a customer for socks. But, Anthony, what I did want to say is that I've been in hotels a lot lately, and I feel as if people are seeming to dress more comfortably, much more casually, but much more in the spirit of what their hotels are supposed to connote. I don't see that same one size fits all when it comes to uniforms out there. So that's why we got these cool people that are going to be with us here today, and Mr. Dan Ambrosio and Todd McKeown of Cintas. How are you guys today? You just pick up the mic and talk into it. Just hold it like that.
I'm doing great.
There you
How
go.
are you?
Hey, Todd. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
You're welcome. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Of course.
And Dan, let's give a big hello to you so people can get your voice as well.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
And I have to
Yep.
To use your word, that we only have 3 microphones, and they have to hand
I know.
the
They do
microphone
have to
back
hand
and
them
forth
back.
to each other.
All right, and I will.
I think our production is now, successful enough that we can afford a microphone.
Well, here's what happened, Anthony. We can't afford a microphone. My other microphone broke when I was on a trip recording another podcast series that unfortunately you were not a part of, and I think that's why I don't want to pop.
So I apologize for the 3 microphone podcast with the 4 people.
Yeah.
No worries.
So
No worries.
I just want to kind of start the conversation by saying I've worked with Cintas now for
How long?
how many years, Dan? 7 years?
I would say 7, yeah.
7 years. So we did some work in the cleaning side of the business. And so I've been working with them for many years, and just a great company. And whether I'm working with them or don't work with them, I just hang out with them. I just like talking to them. But my favorite memory of traveling, one of my favorite memories of traveling has to do with Dan and I in a taxi cab in Fort Lauderdale. Go ahead, Dan.
You want me to tell this
Tell
story?
the story.
yeah.
Do you remember
Well,
the story?
Of course I remember.
Well, you're the guest. We
story.
want you to shine, Dan.
So we had a nice dinner, right? We spent some time together, enjoyed each other's company.
That guy's
sounds like a very
restaurant in
special
Fort
night so
Lauderdale.
far.
What's his name? The Italian guy from Philadelphia. What the hell's his name?
Rocky Balboa.
He calls everybody Yo Cuz.
No,
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, lost it. But anyway, great dinner. We all were leaving and go to a different place. We jumped in a cab together, a car.
An Uber.
And immediately the driver handed me a microphone. And looked at the microphone and said,
Right.
What's this for? He was the karaoke Uber driver.
In Florida.
In
the
Florida.
lights went on like
lights
cash
went
cab.
on, different colored lights strobes
Really?
started going.
Wow.
And the next thing you know, we were all belting out
Karaoke.
Yeah, Pearl Jam.
How cool was that?
It was very cool. A lot of fun.
So what did you sing?
What do you mean when I say?
And the karaoke?
Oh,
I'm
when I
trying to
sing,
think
I
of the
don't remember.
song. I'm trying to think of the song.
I don't
It
remember.
was pretty good.
But you know what? From a marketing standpoint, we're business people, right? So we're always, we want to enjoy our environment, but we're all taking something away. And that's a way for him to, one, get 5 stars, get a bigger tip, and to make me talk about it on a podcast. So if you're ever in Fort Lauderdale, look for the Uber driver. That's the karaoke machine.
And it was Moderanos.
Moderanos.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's
had a little
unfortunate.
brain gap there.
Moderanos
Yep,
actually.
Moderanos.
Yeah,
fun
Moderanos
place.
just lost his son, unfortunately.
Oh,
I just found
sorry
out
to
a
hear
couple
that.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
But Moderanos, it's a great place in Fort Lauderdale. On the weekends, they have this crazy music that
Right.
blasts my head off. But during the week, it's more calm.
Great
and
food.
I like it better. But the best meatballs, and I think the meatballs are like $18
Not better
a meatball.
than mine, but
they're
good
really
meatballs.
no. Talking about meatballs,
He makes a good meatball?
I was hesitant to talk about this, but I'm going to talk
Yeah.
about it. So again, Dan and I, beyond just
It sounds like it. If you know him, him as
friends,
meatballs, and I guess you have a special relationship.
Right, we're friends. So one day we're at an event or something, and he cooks a lot. I don't cook a lot, but my wife cooks a lot of meatballs. We're Italian, so we talked about the onions in the meatball and
Right.
what kind of meatballs you make and all that stuff. And Dan told me he had the secret to the meatballs. What's the secret to the meatballs?
A lot of cheese
Right.
in meatballs, and the secret to meatballs is how you make them, the
Right.
love you put into them, and the care.
So what
Meaning
kind
The
of-
one thing,
so-
the one thing you don't want in them.
you don't want tears
Right.
in your meatballs. It makes them salty.
Right.
So I said, "You do own onion goggles, right, Anthony?" And
Right.
he went, "What?
And I said, "What?
What's
Onion
an
goggles?"
onion goggle?"
So fast forward to Christmas, and a beautiful Federal Express package comes with meatball glasses.
Onion goggles.
I go, so one day I'm traveling somewhere, and my daughter is cutting onions with my wife, and she takes a I sent it to you, and she takes a picture with her onion goggles on. And I was like, "You're not allowed to use them for anything else. So they're in the utensil drawer." And
Right.
she takes them out. Every time we cut onions in the house now, we think of Dan because we have onion goggles.
I love that.
Good
That-
chef, you need the right tools.
You do. I usually just
Absolutely.
I just usually cry about how amazing the onions are. And now I have got a
we have
great
fun with
solution.
it.
But once I do that, what kind of cheese is the best cheese for these meatballs?
I use Romano cheese.
Right.
And I use not grated, I use shredded so
Right.
it melts in the meatball.
Ooh, I like that.
So when
So
you cut
it's-
into a meatball, you see the cheese melt in the meatball.
How about breadcrumbs?
I use regular Italian breadcrumbs,
Okay.
not my own.
The 4C?
Four
ones?
season.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so Todd, I'm glad you flew all the way in for from Chicago for some hot meatball talk.
So tell me about your meatballs.
Yeah, I see Anthony and Dan have a special relationship
yeah.
here, Glenn. I'm
I
a
know.
little
I
bit
feel like we
jealous.
should go into our own
that's
podcast.
Right. We have to have our own thing here.
I think Dan and I are just like the taller and shorter version of each other. well, let's look who's wearing the two-tone shirts, who's wearing pocket squares, right?
All right. Well, all
except
three
him.
of you.
Right, Todd is.
I'm barely dressed to be out.
Yeah,
in
we're not
public
going to talk about
today.
his wardrobe because we talk about it every podcast. So the audience knows all
You
about
should
it.
you should check our episode when we had on Donald Trump impersonator who made fun of me and my wardrobe.
Oh,
It was
he's
that was
funny.
really really special.
He was funny, but one of the reasons I'm excited to have you guys here is because I always talk about relationships. Business is business. Everybody's looking to make money. Everybody's looking for a way to a leg up on the competition or
Yep.
whatever. But there's something about Cintas, and I've said this to Dan on numerous occasions. Whether I'm at a function at the plaza with them, whether I'm talking about business, whatever we're doing, there's just something that feels really comfortable about the relationship and about the people at Cintas. And every place I look, at any person I've ever spoke to in Cintas, they're very nice people, but they're very about business. And most people are about business, and you don't get the nice. So you get the personality. I think Cintas brings out the personality, at least in my opinion, of their employees, and that must come from the top, and you guys are at the top. So talk about your culture.
Yeah, Anthony, I appreciate that, and I would tell you it really is culture, right? I think it's the way that we have a process, a hiring process that we call meticulous hiring. So we really take a lot of time to make sure that we're bringing people into the organization that can offer diversity of thought and all different kinds, but also fit that Cintas culture in terms of making sure that we're humble, that we're ethical, that we're always doing the right thing. And
So if I wanted to work for Cintas, you talk about meticulous hiring, and anybody's ever listened to me say anything, all I talk about is hiring. I learned it from Eric Long at the Waldorf when I didn't even work
That's
for
not
him,
true. You
but-
also talk about great meatballs.
Right, and your lack of college stays. But we'll talk about
Hey.
So Eric Long, who ran the Waldorf forever, he interviewed almost every single person that walked into that door. And I was like, how do you do it? And he goes, how do you not do it? So tell us about your meticulous hiring.
Right. It's a process, Anthony. I mean,
tell me the process. If I'm a guy off the ground, I come in if I walked into, you're in Cincinnati, right? If I walk into your headquarters with a resume, I come out of college and I'm like, I want to work for Cintas. I read about you guys. I love your apparel. I love everything about you. I want to work for you. Is that going to work?
Yeah, I think the beautiful thing is you'd probably have the same experience if you were in New York or Chicago or L.A. when you applied for a job at Cintas in terms of the folks that you met and the way that it was handled, because we put every one of our leaders through that meticulous hiring process. It's actually a training class.
How the hell Dan get through?
Well, Dan snuck through. I'm not quite sure how Dan got through. But Anthony, the thing that really stands out to me at Cintas is when we have a meeting at a hotel, it almost never fails. The GM or somebody will come up to me and say, thank you for having the meeting here. Because of the way that your people interact with our guests, with the way that they handle themselves, it makes our hotel a better place to stay. And that's the best compliment that I can get.
I feel that. And I just actually went to Spain with another company, and they had that kind of same spirit. They had, everywhere I went, there was just this feeling of we're here committed. And I haven't really felt that outside of Cintas, so it's amazing. So from the second I think about applying to Cintas to the second I get a job, how long is that process? How many people am I meeting?
Well, we like to
Dan's
joke.
laughing, by the way.
Yeah,
you can't see it, but
we
he's
like
laughing.
to joke. I said I went through 33 interviews, right?
Okay.
But I was probably
Did you really?
trying to make it. It was close, Anthony.
How many did you go through?
It was probably 10. Probably
10.
a total of 10 interviews.
What could they learn about you on interview 9 that they didn't know on interview 7?
Yeah, I'm not sure because I'm a pretty much an
I'll
open
tell
book.
you.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what they learned, and
Oh,
it's
yeah?
funny because Eric Long did it. He interviewed me 17 times before I got a job.
Wow.
I didn't take the job because I had other things going on, but 17 interviews over a period of a year and a half, and I'll tell you what they learned:
Right.
consistency.
Yeah.
Did you tire out? Are you rolling your eyes? Are you like, oh fuck, I'm here? Oops, excuse me, I'm not allowed to curse.
Yeah, he promised he wouldn't
I
before
wouldn't
this.
curse. You know, I'm here for the 19th time. You know, and it's like he used to make me wait 3 hours, and every single time I walked in his office, I looked sharp, I was focused, I was hydrated, and I was like, "Hello, sir, how are you? I'm sorry for the wait. What wait?" So I think that's what they're looking for. You're looking for, are you consistent?
Absolutely, and I would tell you, I think we're also trying to give that that applicant the ability to talk to a bunch of other Cintas employees as
Right.
well, right? To get a little bit
See if
better,
it fits for them as well.
right? To see if it's a fit for them, because there's got to be a fit both ways. But I would tell you, Cintas hires probably better than any other company that I've been around in my entire career, and it does make a difference when you interact with a Cintas employee, a partner.
So Dan, what do you look for when you're hiring someone? What's the number one thing that stands out?
This is an interesting direction this conversation is taking. I like where you're headed with these questions, Dan.
I think there's a number of things, but I want to say how you interact. Meaning, we talk about personal brand, right? Meaning that there's something special about them. That
Right.
Definitely about being able to tell a story. So we're going to ask you a lot of questions about your past, what you've done, and how you can articulate that story to separate yourself from others,
From a
right?
million
Stand
people.
out.
This is a fear that I have with younger folks these days, that they don't know how to adequately interact with people. Are you find that more challenging?
Yeah, and I think, again, it doesn't make it easy, right? We try to make people comfortable, right? To
Right.
say, it's an interview, but it's also a conversation. It's also about you should be interviewing us the same as us interviewing you, right? Meaning, so we try to get them comfortable first.
Yeah, people are so scared, though, to do that.
because then it's not a good interview.
Yeah.
If you have somebody
But I
that's...
find when people say, nowadays it's hard to find people, whatever. Listen, when I was running the Plaza or director of front office operations at the Plaza Hotel, it was impossible to find people.
Right.
It's been impossible to find good people since the creation of people. Okay? Great people, A-list people are hard to find no matter what generation, no matter what state you're in, what country you're in. It's got to be almost a God-giving thing. It's almost got to be where you just wake up in the morning and you're going to get over that finish line, and you can't train that.
Right.
Think about your top performers, right? Think about the number one performers you have in each department. Did you train them to be that?
No, they had
the
an innate ability.
And if the answer is yes, I think you're lying to yourself.
Right.
No one ever trained me to be me. With basically circumstances in my life to overcome things. That would change people. How bad do you want it? Are you obsessed? I have an obsessed personality with certain things. Okay, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
Right.
And I think that's, So that's in every generation. So yeah, do some people can't speak properly? Yes, I can't speak properly. And I got a TV show, but people have trouble communicating. But people have trouble communicating in every. You have to tell a story. You have to get them maybe through 17 interviews to get them comfortable. You can't tell anything in the first interview. Like I think I could tell a lot, but then you bring them back a second time, a third time, a fourth time. Like, ooh, I missed that. I missed that.
Isn't it kind of like dating, Anthony, where everyone's on their best behavior for a little while, right? And then the more I guess you go through it, the more they can't help but be their authentic selves.
There's
right,
a comedian that does a story about that. It's like. I set my representative when I go on my first date. I set a representative, which is my best self, because that's not me. I'm not farting. I'm not picking my nose. I'm shaved. I smell good. That's my representative. Yeah. So that's true. You send your representative to the interview.
I mean, obviously we're very diverse. We practice diversity, but image is important, right? It's not just your physical image. It's how you present yourself. So I think that, if you ask me, that would be the thing that stands out. What's that first impression?
Well, both of you guys seem to dress extremely well. Seem to really put yourself together. I see you're fixing yourself over there, Todd, just because you're going to have to answer this question. So, when you're thinking about looking great from a sartorial perspective, how do you put yourself together to create an image that connotes to the world who you are as a human being?
Yeah, and that's a stretch to have me looking good or looking great, right? But I think it's like anything else you do as a leader, right? Your people look up to you, and you've got to walk the talk, right? I don't do anything that I don't ask my team to do. I'll do it first. And I think the same thing goes when they observe everything you do. And we're rebranding our division as we speak to the Design Collective by Cintas. So they're looking at what you're wearing. They're looking at your blazer. They're looking at your pants. They're looking at how you carry yourself. And we want to wear the clothes that are the Design Collective, the same clothes that our customers are wearing. And
it has an influence because today when I was coming to the podcast, sometimes I dress, casually. And I knew Dan was coming. And I was like, Dan he's the only person that I really try to kind of lift my standards to because he's impeccably dressed. Matter of fact, after this podcast, I'm going to his tailor to get a couple suits. It's true. And so I came with the pocket square I haven't worn this shirt in a couple of years with the no button showing. But it's true when you're around people. I remember as a young manager asking someone. I said, "Why do you like working here? Why do you like working with us?" He's like, "Because I don't know where you're going, but I want to go with you. I have no idea where you're going, but I just want to be along for the ride." Yeah. And when you have that energy around you, I just got a DM this morning, some guy from the Czech Republic, I think, and he said that the energy that you exude, I bring into my own business, and I appreciate that. So when you're around people like that, again, Dan, and I see the people around you, it absolutely is. It's infectious. And when you have that person with the down personality, and maybe you missed them through the interview process, they pop themselves out pretty quick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's no question. I mean, if you're a general manager and you have an image consultant coming into your property, you want them to give you advice, right, on what your staff should look like, on where we can help bring that brand to life. So if that person doesn't walk in that hotel looking the part and doesn't look stylish and put together and can't help in that way, then we don't bring any value.
So let's talk real quick about that transition of, and I'll use the word that we're not allowed to use, uniforms 50 years ago. And
thank you.
Now you have like you
wardrobe?
said, stylist consultants. What was the word you used?
Image
consultants. Whereas it used to be, okay, we need uniforms, call the guy with the uniforms. And how did we make that transition from the uniform guy to the image consultant?
I think it just speaks to the industry change in general, right? Meaning that we're talking about a big change that we've seen over the last couple of years.
Well, I think there's probably been several changes that you could address because I think there's running on parallel tracks, right? Yeah. You look at the higher ends of the business, but you looked at the select service side of the business. It seems to be a lot more comfortable type of feel, looking professional, but just more comfortable. And then you get, I think, up to upper upscale hotels and stuff, and then it's more of traditional type of clothing, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're even seeing some of that be stretched a little bit, even in the upper upscale, even luxury side. About ties are optional in some cases. Obviously, maybe the level of dress is scale coordinated, but there's definitely a movement right now that speaks to the change in the customer, right? That's coming to your property, and how you're going to prepare yourself, your property, around those changes, including lobbies, rooms, all the things that are going. And we call it. We can use the word, right? Millennial, right? Is the overused word
don't
right
use that
now.
Word ever again. I won't use uniform. You don't use millennial.
But I think that's what everybody tries to use.
Can we say experience? Are we allowed to use that one?
But I think it addresses not necessarily the customer. When I say customer, the customer that's coming to the hotel, let's just call it, but also the people that are working in the properties. And it's just a change in a mentality, right? I don't know that it's error-based. I think it's mindset-based.
There's 3 ways, in my opinion, to elevate your hotel, right? The spirit of the employees, the apparel that they wear, and the lotions in the bathroom. If you think of everything else, couches are couches, design, of course, right? That goes without saying. But a bed's a bed. Everybody's got nice towels now. Everybody's got nice beds. Everybody's got a good TV. Right, so you remember the scent of the shampoo you put on your head, right, Todd? Right, Todd's got the same haircut as me,
right?
And Dan sitting there with those beautiful hair, and you feel the first person you see at the hotel, right? And then I noticed the bellman today that's actually wearing a Cintas, Cintas apparel, and it's the nicest bellman uniform I've ever seen. And I'm not saying that because you're sitting here. It looked light, it looked summery, but it looked formal, but kind of casual.
He did say that before he knew it was your stuff.
Right, I did.
But what I want to know is, what is that process like? If I'm opening up, let's say, a boutique hotel, and I'm creating some sort of look and feel that I want this property to have, and it needs to extend through the apparel my team is going to wear, how do you partner with me to make sure that it accurately reflects the image of the property I'm trying to create?
Well, I think it starts with just engaging, our resources, right? So we have a vast design, as Todd mentioned. This design collective approach that we're taking is really based around the offering that we bring to every opportunity, right?
So I think it's important to just underscore that I'm not like just looking at a catalog and picking out something from page 36.
So we have a very vast depth design department that literally goes through from start to finish, where your message is, what your vision looks like, what the interiors of the property are all about, all the way down to the wearers to understand better what you're trying to do to execute on that vision. Once we have that, we take our resources from signature design capabilities all the way to a ready-to-wear offering and put together an extensive program that addresses that. Now, the difference of years ago, which is today, is before it was a very limited scale of that's the item you're going to wear. That's why the word uniform was so consistent.
Because it was one choice.
It was called uniform, being consistent in uniform, the same. Now it's different. We're addressing this whole mindset, this change that's coming in, that people want choice. They want to feel good about what they wear. They want to be confident. They're engaging a customer. So they need to have that interaction in order to feel that strength and that power of confidence. They want to feel good about what they're wearing.
Yeah, it's really true, because I feel differently depending on the type of clothes that I'm wearing, for sure.
Yeah. So that is really, so that's where the uniform word goes away, and we bring in the apparel collection comes in, because now it's a little more of a broader offering. Maybe even think about like your closet, where you have some staples and then you have things that are changing, but they're still part of your personal brand. And in this case, they address the brand and the vision of the property that they're working in.
I was talking before that if I don't feel comfortable the way I look, I can't function. And I was just looking, they had a repeat of one of my shows, 5-Star Secrets, the other day. And I was like, every place I went in the world, my uniform matched my environment. And if it didn't, I couldn't feel comfortable. So if I was in Finland, I was wearing the most stylish apparel that you would wear on the ski slopes or the Ice Hotel. Or when I was at the Chicago Langham, I was wearing a suit that kind of matched the feel of how I felt in Chicago. And it's really important, probably even more important to me than most people. It's like I can't function unless I feel not only comfortable, but I feel that I look the part.
Yeah, Anthony, it's not just looking the part and feeling the part from a standpoint of, oh, it fits and it looks nice, but it's what's the fabrication? Is it breathable? Is it comfortable? And then you start looking at programs that we're putting together for our customers here in North America, in Latin America, in Europe. So we're having to look at those fabrications to make sure that they're appropriate for the climate that we're in, and then we're having to look at that design and make sure it's appropriate for the culture that we're in, and then bounce that all back off the brand to make sure it all hangs together when you walk in a property, whether it's in Europe or Latin America or the U.S.
What's the thing that you find from an apparel standpoint, from a cultural standpoint, that is, what's the biggest difference you've ever found in one culture that you're like, oh, never realized that before. I can't fit a person or a woman or a man in this kind of outfit.
Yeah, I would say probably one of the starkest ones is you've got certain countries in Europe that certainly aren't going to wear polyester, right? And I think in the United States, and it's not we like to say it's not your grandmother's polyester, right? Polyester's come a long way.
Why?
And we use all
I
kinds
know why,
of.
But why? Tell me why.
It's more the fashion. You go to Italy, you go to France, and they want wool. They want wool suits, right? So that's been a difference. Certainly, body types and fit is different. Fabrication is big when you go to Latin America, right? Because you're dealing in all kinds of extremes, heat and humidity compared to other parts of the world. So when our designers that Dan talked about in our studio in Toronto or Miami or Chicago or Las Vegas, when they're designing those programs, they have to take all those things into consideration. And then we like to call it a living program today. So we used to put the program out there, and 3 years later we'd go back and revisit it. It doesn't happen that way anymore. We're constantly taking things in that are taking things out, maybe that aren't working, and inserting new items into the collection.
It's really educating the general manager, educating the owners, educating the senior leadership, because that little conversation we just had, that 2 minutes of your discussion, really taught me a lot about how much goes into it. And I know when I'm building a property, developing a property, the time I get to, there's two things. The time I get to the software and to the uniforms, I'm like, I ain't got no more money. Right? How many times you run into that?
Right.
And now you're
every single deal they try to close, I would guess. That's right.
And then you're trying to, maybe cheapen the look, the general manager, and say, well, I don't have the money. Like, how do you deal with that? Because sometimes, when you're trying to get a look, it may be a little bit more expensive.
But it's
standard. I'm sorry, was I talking when you were interrupting?
Yes, you were, which I find extremely rude. I thought your sentence was going to be over a few words earlier.
So whatever I was saying, go ahead. Finish my thought.
I was going to say, the look of your staff is so important that it should not
critical.
be treated as an afterthought.
It's beyond important. It's more important than the logo on your building. It's more important than anything. The apparel as soon as you walk into a hotel, the first thing you see is the person's uniform.
Right.
That tells me how they represent themselves and how the owner wants them to represent themselves. So to me, it's the most important thing. Again, getting back to when I first did Hotel Impossible, I could have worn crappy suits and jeans and a T-shirt because I was running around chasing bed bugs, right? And then I was like, well, I don't run around the world that way, so why would I run around my show? Then when I went to 5-Star Secrets, the guy with the suit, I was born in a suit, right? So it's like, why would I change who I am for my surroundings? And if you're in a 3-star hotel in a B market, why can't you have a great apparel? Why can't you have great suits? Why? It's how do you kind of talk about the cost and the price and
Anthony, great point, right? And I think what's magical about our business, right, is we try and take those runway inspirations in the fashion world and then construct something that works a lot better than a retail garment. May look like it, may feel like it, but it's going to last longer because you're going to wear it a lot more, right? So really, we look at uniforms as useful life of that asset. So you may be able to go on the cheap and buy a cheap suit and a cheap shirt that may last you 3 or 4 months, right? So if you spend a little bit more, but you amortize that over a 2 or 3 year period, you're really getting a better value with better garments that are lasting longer. So when we talk to our customers, we have a good, better, best strategy, but it's all about how do we help based on what they're looking to bring to life as their image. How do we make sure that we can offer them the best solution where they get the best useful life out of those assets?
It's a real education.
Yeah, Dan?
Yeah, so the only thing I'll add to that, too, is that, again, I think you brought up it becomes not as important, so it's the last thing, and now I have no more money, right? So how do you make it more important? Well, think about what you just said, that engagement piece, but think about what's the biggest problem we have right now in hospitality, especially in lodging? Labor, right?
Absolutely.
Meaning retaining labor.
Absolutely.
So there's no better way to retain labor than to engage your associates, your employees. And one of the ways to do it is make them feel good, make them feel confident. You give them something they want to wear. It shows to your guest.
And it shows
brings
respect. It shows respect to me as an employee that you care about me, that you're, one, asking me my opinion, and two, you're giving me something that doesn't make me look. That gentleman we spoke to in the elevator this morning,
Right.
how excited when I talked about the
Yeah,
uniform,
he was actually really genuinely surprised that you noticed, and then he was really excited to just talk all about how much he liked the uniform.
So that's my point. You engaged him, right? You something. Think about garments, right? We don't want to use the word uniform because we think it's negative. We have focus
Think
groups.
about the
We
military.
we sit with a lot of our customers, whether they be in the part of putting a program together, whether they be just in general from each department level. And one of the things we heard is the fact that uniform word is actually a negative. So they perceive it as not on trend, boring, and something I would never like to wear.
Well, that makes a whole lot of sense to me because as the entire hotel industry's design has gone from, cookie cutter type of look with a lot of beige and, those boring bedspreads, now it's all about using that buzzword lifestyle and everything that comes with it. So the clothing that goes behind the lifestyle designs makes a lot of sense to me. So it's got to be a lot more fun for the designers now going in and designing these types of clothes. And it probably has also opened up a lot of opportunities for you folks to be more creative. How different is the business now, Todd, compared to how it was, 5-10 years ago before we started to see this burst of boutique hotels happening with this great upswing we see in the market?
Yeah, I think with that change, we had to look internally and change ourselves a little bit, right? And I would tell you our division sometimes has what we call the white truck syndrome at Cintas, right? Because you see those white trucks driving around, the uniformed people, facility services, fire, first aid, and safety. When we tell our story, a lot of people don't understand that Cintas has those capabilities.
Right.
And so quite honestly, you'll start hearing a lot more about the Design Collective by Cintas, which is really the repositioning of our brand. But that's all about trying to bring those unique wardrobe options to our customers. And it's not only our designers' ability to take that inspiration and design some pretty cool looking assortments, but it also means we're carrying other brands that our customers want to wear. So you think about Under Armour or Express, Chef Works. Those are collaborations that we have that are that help us round out our complete offering with really the garments, again, that those customers want to wear.
I had this weird perception that uniforms weren't real clothes, right? But these days, that has been, it is apparel, and you're naming names that everybody in, listening to the show has heard of before.
Absolutely. If you would have told me 10 years ago we'd be opening up lifestyle brands and putting employees in black jeans, black tees, and a beanie, right? I don't know that I would have told you we would have been ready for that, but certainly we're doing it all day long now with the lifestyle brands that are emerging.
Yeah, that's certainly incredible that it's changed so much. So what is the process like now from the time I meet with somebody at Cintas for the first time and say, let's talk about ideas, to how long I could expect to actually see my employees wearing brand new apparel?
Yeah, boy, that's really the gamut. So that can be as long as a 2-year window if you're talking about a transportation airline company where you're designing a new above-the-wing program for the flight attendants. Or, again, with the options that we have from our custom down to ready-to-wear, we could go into an existing property and put an assortment together relatively quickly. So
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Anthony.
Did you just do the uniform program for a very famous airline recently for their flight attendants?
We did, but I'm not sure which airline that you're talking about.
Well, I don't know if I want to say it because if you didn't do it, Delta?
No, sir,
Okay.
we did not. Yeah, we did not do the Delta program. Actually, we had the Delta program, but did not do the last iteration of the Delta program. Southwest Airlines, we launched a new program with them a couple years ago, so you'll see that's a pretty wide assortment collection you'll see walking through the airports that I still think is a great looking program.
Is it scarf?
Absolutely,
Right, I love that scarf.
Signature dress. So, yep.
Huh. I didn't know that there was so much to know about uniforms here.
And one of the reasons I love the hospitality industry and the hotel business is because everything from the couch you're sitting on to the carpet to the flooring to the uniforms, everything is important.
Right.
And to bring those millions of those things, touch points in a hotel together is critical. And then you worry about how you construct the building, what brand goes on the building. You worry about what carpeting. The designer goes crazy about colors and everything else. And then the most important part of the design, the part of design that actually moves, walls don't move, tiles don't move, but the design that actually moves all around the hotel, from the front to the back and everywhere in between, uniforms, people give second thoughts, and I never understood about that. I always felt like the uniform is the most important part of the design. I'm not going to remember if that's off-white or a little white or green or yellow, but I'm going to remember when that bellman came out and he looked like crap in a potato sack, or he looked like he was beautiful in some really beautiful apparel.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, Anthony, to your point, and you've run some big hotels, and I would tell you probably the service that I get the most compliments and emails on is our implementation and installation team. So we'll take that
installation team.
Installation team. So
isn't that just sending somebody a box so they could put on some clothes?
So you and I talked earlier, right, about Springfield, Ohio, and the MGM facility up there, and we had a very small window of time to come in and basically outfit and uniform over 2,000 associates prior to their opening. So we bring a SWAT team in, and oftentimes the property would really struggle without us coming in and helping orchestrate that activity.
Not most times, all the time.
So I
don't know a property that could do it.
But in the case of like the MGM Springfield, you would have the different departments' apparel designed ahead of time. You just need to know measurements and body types and all of that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So we'll measure each and every individual associate there, and then we actually run the uniform room at the MGM Springfield location as well. But we actually issue their first uniform and make sure on the opening day that everybody is in uniform.
Wow, and one of the things that amazes me when you look at these big resorts is we were talking. We had lunch before this. To be honest with everyone, yes, we eat around here at the Checking In podcast. I remember this great back of house tour I took at Foxwoods, and it turns out that you run the uniform room over there. I thought that was the coolest thing because I just come in for work for the day, and like I know my number's like 2632. I hit that button, my uniform comes out. I could get changed in it, then I could take the dirty one and put it in a totally different thing, and around it goes, and I always have something clean there. Yeah,
and really that service is about what we talked about earlier, is managing that useful life of those assets. I mean, those properties spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on those assets, and we want to make sure that they get the useful life, and we want to make sure we take uniforms out that aren't looking good and insert uniforms in where needed so we can...
How does a program like that work? Because for me, as a guest backstage, I just got to see someone push a button and got a clean uniform, and then somebody threw a dirty one into it. So how do places like that, how do places like Disney, how do all of these incredible organizations always have great-looking stuff all the time?
A lot of hard work.
It's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of, as Anthony knows, a backroom operation, right? Some of these properties have huge uniform rooms in the bellies, the basements of these large properties where they literally have people around the clock, and some of these facilities have 3,000 employees, right? Coming in at all hours of the day to hand in their old uniforms to get them cleaned and to get their new uniforms to make sure that they're looking crisp.
And if you run a big uniform program, right, if you're a manager of the uniform room, 9 times out of 10, that person in charge of the uniform room has an obsessive personality. If they allow one shirt to go out of their uniform room and it's not perfect and they're walking on the floor to go to lunch and they see that person, they'll dive on them and bring them into the uniform room if they're really good at their job. Matter of fact, I'm sorry, Dan, go ahead.
No. You're saying exactly what I was going to say. You talk to executives in big properties and you ask them your biggest pain points, what's going to be the first thing they say? Probably the uniform room.
Absolutely.
Probably going to be the first thing they say.
It's so difficult to deal with.
Because of all the things we just, managing those assets, making sure that it's a demanding process that is labor intensive and time sensitive. They need to have it when they get there.
If my suit doesn't fit right, I gained a couple of pounds or I lost a couple of pounds, I'm going to go to the uniform room or the apparel room and say, hey, my apparel doesn't fit me right. My suit doesn't fit me right. Okay? There's other people that don't give a crap. So they gain 10 pounds, and they tell anybody. There's 2 hotels that I play poker in anytime I'm playing poker. And I'll just say this. One, I won't say because I don't know if you guys represent them. There's one hotel, I noticed their uniforms for all the right reasons, and I'm literally mesmerized by how beautiful they are and how well fitted they are. And then there's another resort I go to, and the dealers look like they're about to bust out from their uniforms. Right. And like if you're dealing cards, your elbow keeps, rubbing on the felt. So now you have a hole. And if you don't tell the uniform person that they have a hole and they just clean and put it back out, you're going to have a hole again. Because you don't care.
But they don't notice that stuff, the people who are in charge of the
Listen, they do,
uniforms?
but some people just don't give a crap.
Right.
You know, I was watching, there was a rerun of Hotel Impossible last night, and this lady, I didn't remember her saying this. I said that there was a balcony, there was a rain cover outside that had holes in it, a canopy. There was a canopy that had holes in it. And I said, didn't you notice that? She goes, I've worked here for 2 years and I never noticed about it. I said, how could you not notice right outside? She goes, I just don't care. She literally said that on national television. She goes, I just don't care. So is she going to care that her uniform got a little tight on her? So you have to have ninjas in the back worrying about that for you.
Well, yeah, I also think you got to have a lot of extra stuff around because, say, you've got somebody who's really clumsy and, you know, that cocktail server keeps getting drinks spilled on her, for example.
Yeah, but I think that's what Todd was mentioning before about asset managing. That's a big expense.
Huge.
So think about, meaning you need a lot of back inventory. If you're not good at that management,
right,
you're going to have a major loss. You're going to have a major problem. Ultimately, biggest concern you're going to have is that person cannot get on the floor with the right uniform on or apparel. Got me saying it. You know, we charge a fee.
Well, Todd's the one who's
we charge a fee at Cintas. You know, if
Todd's the boss, and he's the
word.
one who's saying it the most. But what's interesting is when we talk about P&Ls in the hospitality industry, people talk about liquor costs and labor. Liquor costs and labor comes up on almost every P&L meeting consistently. The two biggest expenses, outside of labor, is linen and uniforms. So those are the two things you have to manage the most, because those are the two things you really see and feel the most. When you lay down on a bed, I was just in a hotel, believe it or not, a couple nights ago, and I was laying in the bed, and the sheets made me hot. It was just a sheet that just wasn't comfortable, and it made me really warm. So, and then I remember the lady at the front desk, very attractive young lady, very nice. Her uniform was horrible. So the only two things: beautiful boutique hotel in Madrid, wonderful young lady at the front desk, was very helpful. It was a nice room, but the two things that bothered me the most was the uniform and the sheet. And I'll remember that, and I won't go back there for those reasons, specifically because of the hot sheet, but also that she didn't look right. She looked out of sort. Here, this young lady. She probably was born in Spain, and she was just wearing a uniform that didn't fit her, that wasn't pretty, and didn't back up the brand.
How you look, how you feel is a big correlation to confidence. And everything is about confidence, meaning when you feel good, that interaction with that guest is going to be completely different. And we talked about what are important things in properties. It's about that experience. What does that guest leave? Will they come back?
And they feel
experience
pride.
Is good.
You feel confident, and you feel prideful, and you feel that people care about me. And you feel, listen, when you work in a 3-star hotel, right, unless everybody around you is really at the top of their game and really pushing you and really motivating you and really making it exciting, then you'll feel excited.
Right.
If you work in a 3-star hotel and everybody's like, whatever, we're not the leader in the market, we're not the Four Seasons, we're not this, whatever. But then you go to one of those 5-star hotels and everybody's at the top of their game and they're wearing the great uniforms, people feel pride. So it's the same person. Whether you're in a 3-star hotel or 5-star hotel, you're the same. It's a human being. The way and I talk about this on my speaking gigs almost every single time. I said the only difference between a 3-star hotel and a 5-star hotel employee is the way they carry themselves and the uniform they're wearing.
Right.
I swear to God, I say that almost every single time. And I don't say that because Cintas is here.
All right, so I got a question about uniforms. Now, I know that Anthony does not agree with me on this, but I have a problem with restaurants on a higher than average basis putting female servers in what looks like men's clothes with the white shirt and the black tie and almost a suit type of outfit. Why can't we create outfits for women in the restaurant environment that don't sexualize the person, but let them allow them to look like they're female as opposed to a woman dressed in a guy's clothes?
And I would just answer that today. We are.
Yeah.
Meaning,
and I know it's not you guys, because I know that people are stuck and rigid and they say, this is the look I want.
I mean, and again, unisex, I don't even know that word exists that much anymore, right?
Only in the middle aisle of Gap.
Yeah. I mean, male, it is absolutely about male, female. It's about feeling good. It's about fit, right? So
I would never think, like, if I was a female server wearing this men's shirt and a tie, I wouldn't feel
Well,
like
it's also,
myself.
and the reason we disagree is because wherever we were,
Right.
I felt that uniform, black and white with the tie,
Right.
whatever it was,
And I know we've had this talk before.
was appropriate to the surroundings. So if I'm in a speakeasy and I see a young lady maybe in a speakeasy kind of thing with the white and the black, I don't care. And I don't like when they sexualize a female or even a male for the benefit of,
Right.
just gawking at people.
Agreed.
So you have to, and I think to your point, Dan, you see less of that. You
Much
really do.
less.
You see less. of
I
that.
don't know. Not at Italian restaurants on Long
well,
Island.
and again,
Well.
and it could be a cost factor too.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
let's just
Well,
call
I-
it what it is.
well,
I mean,
I remember-
it could be about wear your own, bring your own, and
Right.
you know what I mean. You,
Because when
you
I
get
worked
what
at the-
you-
when
you
I
get
worked
what
at
He's
you-
been interrupting people the whole
No,
day.
I think
You're usually good at waiting.
I usually am, but not so much today. I don't
So
know.
Dan, finish your thought.
I feel like the holidays are coming, and I can't keep myself from talking. Sorry.
No,
Dan.
no. Like I said, I don't have the right answer for that. It's less, right? And you're going to see more and more offering that and more opportunity where people are going to engage their associates to look better because they see a correlation to the experience that they receive, and that's worth something.
And one of the things I've been talking a lot about is personal branding, as we discussed,
Yes.
and I'll be talking at Cintas at a conference soon about it. And when I ask people, and in the audience I'll ask when I go to your event, who has a personal brand? And I was just out in Vegas, and there was 300 high-level executives, and 3 people raised their hand. People don't understand that they have a personal brand. So now that people are starting to understand, people are starting to want to control their brand and control themselves, that asking people, does this look good? Do you feel good in this? Do you like this color? And giving them the ability to be part of the process is important to their personal brand. Because just because you work for a company, you work for a Hyatt or a Hilton or Four Seasons or whatever, or Sears or whatever, that uniform doesn't define your personal brand. But if you don't feel good in it and you don't feel that it complements your personal brand, you're never, to your point, Dan,
Absolutely.
feel confident about you. Because really when you're talking about uniforms or apparel, and you're talking about feeling confident, what you're talking about is my personal brand speaking for your brand. So if I'm working for a Marriott, I don't mind working in a Marriott. I don't mind talking on behalf of Marriott. But if I don't feel comfortable and I don't feel that uniform reflects me, I'm not going to feel right about my surroundings.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
No, I think that makes all the sense in the world. And I think what you're seeing different, right, we talked about in the beginning, what do you see different in the last 5 years? Who had really engagement scores 5 years ago?
Oh, my God.
Right?
You live and die by them.
I mean, now you do. It was Q&A and it was
Right.
certain things, but now it's about have you engaged your associates, your employees,
When we were growing-
and what's the response?
When we were growing up in the business, right, did employees rate you? Did employees say Dan sucks or Dan's great? No. You'd be like, I suck? All right, go get another job. Now, if my employees don't rate me well, the employee's in control,
right.
which the way
That's
it
the
should
labor
be.
thing again,
But
right?
I really think it should be.
Yeah.
I think when TripAdvisor came out, I love that TripAdvisor came out because like everybody's going to be able to evaluate me and my team. I love transparency. I love that my employees can rate me because if I'm rated low, why would I want to walk around being the person being made fun of because I'm an idiot as a boss? So if people say, hey, you're an idiot as a boss, I want to know that. And a couple of times I was called out as an idiot as a boss when I was a young manager. It changed my life. So I think it's really important for this transparency and to get employees involved in the uniform program, the apparel program, every program. I even want to know the property management system. Are you guys familiar with this? Do you like this property management system? I think the more you ask people their opinion, the more they feel part of the solution and they want to work. And I think the old world way of when we were growing up, because we're all about the same age, doesn't work anymore. And it shouldn't work.
Yeah. And, I would even say, we call our people style consultants, right? Meaning you don't hear the word sales in there because the sale is just the end result. If you do a very good job of the engagement, the connection, and you put the things in front of them that make sense, right? That instill that confidence and give you that image. So, I would even say right now we could call our people engagement specialists because you have to do more than just deliver on something. You have to show them what it's going to do for each one of them.
And also getting back to the pride thing, if I'm at a backdoor, I'm at a barbecue over the weekend, and somebody says, "What do you do?" and I give them a card and it said, "I work for Cintas. I'm a style consultant." Ooh, okay. Ooh, that sounds really cool. I'm a sales representative. That's not as cool,
No.
right? If I'm, style consultant sounds like you went to style school, went to design school, know everything about fashion, and it just sounds more important. So I have more pride.
So if we engage at the beginning, right, for the design purposes and everything to address the brand and all the things that go into a successful interaction, right, for an image program, we have to take it one step further. We have to deliver that to the wearer. So you start at the top, right, with the properties, and you deliver it to the wearer. How do you do that? If you just if you develop something and they show up one day and they have a new program, it's not the same if they don't know the story.
Right.
They need to know what went behind it. Why did you do it? Why did you put these brands together?
The story is so important.
So we're doing things like fashion shows.
Wow.
Inside fashion shows.
Yeah, I was involved in one.
So not fashion shows with models, fashion shows with associates, with employees. To get up and, so you roll a program out, you bring that in front of all of them, and you make it a event that is memorable, that makes that statement around not only engagement, but we care about you, the wearer, and they feel great about it. Just like you engaged at Bellman today. That's what they do, but there's nothing better than their own peers and getting in front of them to start a program. So I think that's important too. It's how you're always marketing. You have to make sure the end result is there.
And you know what? I talk about this a lot where when you're in kindergarten, you're told what to do. Then you're in high school, you're told what to do. Your parents tell you what to do. So as soon as you get on your own, you're like, I'm free. And then you realize, oh, I'm also broke. but you're free, right? And when you're going to your first job, now they're going to hand you a uniform that you don't like. So now I'm controlled by the man again. Now I'm controlled. Now my parents are controlled. Everybody's controlling me. Now I got to wear this crappy uniform that I don't really want to wear, and it's too tight and it's whatever. And I can't wait. I can't wait to get the hell out of here so I can put on my own clothes. It's important. And that's really what we're talking about here. So what would you want people to know about the Design Collective by Cintas? Like, what is that big shift that you're making now? Like, what's the point?
Yeah, to me, Anthony, it's really about just changing the mindset of that consumer, right? And I'm not sure we're recognized. And we win NAUMD. It's an association here of uniform manufacturers and distributors in the U.S. And I would tell you, we win 3 or 4 awards every year for our designs for some of these properties. But again, I think that white truck syndrome sometimes holds back that perception of who Cintas is. An example I can give you, we had a meeting here in New York with Tiffany's not too long ago to talk about suiting for their in-store associates, and they had to call a timeout in the meeting after 15 minutes because they knew Cintas very well. They had no idea Cintas did tailored apparel.
Right.
So to us, this Design Collective is more about how we brand and how we label our garments. We've if I'll give you an example, United Airlines. If you have a beautiful United Airlines above-the-wing dress that a flight attendant is wearing and it has a Cintas label in it, doesn't look so beautiful anymore because you don't find that in the mall, right? You see it on a facility services truck driving down the street. So if you have a nice Design Collective or Formy, which is our luxury brand, if you have a Formy label in that dress, looks a lot different, right? And to complicate it, right, we're in a very difficult business because we know out of those flight attendants you may have 10,000 size 6s. Well, what can they do at a retail store? They can put it back on the rack if it doesn't fit exactly. We already know in some cases the block may not fit exactly, so then we have to make sure we tailor it and fit that person. So it's a difficult business. We're compared to a retail operation
because that's what everybody knows
that's the
and
experience.
Is comfortable with.
Correct.
Yeah.
But when you try and we can't say no. We've got to outfit the 5XL and the 00. Right?
I was about to say, so how do you create something that looks good in a whole panoply of sizes? That's a big challenge.
Yeah, and it's really soup to nuts. So it starts with those designers to the technical design. How do you take that design and turn it into something that's functional? And then it turns into our supply chain, right, who is sourcing that product from all over the globe. And in some cases, it's a 30-day lead time. In some cases, it's a 4-month lead time. But again, we're having to go up to 7XL in some cases, down to 00, and then forecast for our customer, right, on what they'll consume. So I would tell you our global supply chain resources do a tremendous job of helping us with our customers manage that overall spend on the asset.
What, from a technology standpoint, is the biggest technology improvement in uniforms or in apparel in the last 10 years?
Yeah, I think it's fabrication, Anthony. I mean, if you just walk in the mall today, and even my kids will reference cool things that they saw in the mall, and how light it is, or how durable, or how stretchy it is, right? So I think it's trying to find that balance of how do we incorporate those cool fabrics into a uniform program where some of those fabrics historically did not perform well in that environment. But again, it's a whole nother day, right, in terms of fabrication technology. So I think that's been the biggest change as far as the physical garment goes. As far as servicing our client goes, I think it's a technology that our customers can literally go on a website, a personal website, look at the items that they can order on their phone and place an order through Cintas just like you would Amazon or a very intuitive retail apparel site. So we make that consumer experience really, really good when they're placing an order from us, and then we hope they're even happier once they get that garment.
So now I want you to answer the most important question I've had my entire life. You ready?
I'm ready.
Are you up for it?
I'm excited.
Scared.
I spend, say, $200 on a really nice shirt, and it's made of linen. And then I sit down, and it's wrinkled. Why am I buying a $200 linen shirt that's wrinkled in 3 seconds
I think
before I even get to the
for
cocktail
you and your
hour?
therapist to deal with it.
Even with all the technology changes, in fact, I'm not sure I can answer that one for you, Anthony. Yeah.
I can answer it. So you have to develop something that looks like linen,
Right.
but doesn't wrinkle like that. I mean, and so that I think
It's like on Fire Island you can wear it.
I think
That's about
Todd's
it.
completely on point with fabrication. Because
I just don't move or sit down or anything when I wear linen.
Yeah, I mean, but think about it, right? We're challenged to have that $200 linen look, but God
You don't
forbid
want
it
wrinkle.
wrinkle like that
This
or anything
shirt, I
else.
have
It's
a
got to,
secret.
and it has to clean.
Right. This shirt that I'm wearing right now, when I got in my car this morning, I put on a polo shirt, and I hung this in the back of my car because I know it wrinkles more. And I didn't want to come seeing Dan with a wrinkled shirt.
I love that.
I swear, it's true. And my wife goes, "Why? What are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, I have to go to my podcast." She goes, "Why are you bringing 3 shirts with you?" I said, "Because I'm meeting Dan." It's true.
And
I
I'm
swear to
wrinkled
God.
right now,
And
so
look.
just so you know that.
But what I'm saying is, it matters. I bought 2 suits about a couple of years ago, and the senior salesperson that used to help me was kind of not helping me. There was a junior guy helping me.
Right.
And at the end, after we picked the fabrics, we picked the interior, we picked every part of the suit. As we went to invoice it, the senior guy, I think his name is Steve, came over to me and he goes, "Anthony, you can't wear that fabric." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you're running around, because I was shooting the show." And he goes, "It's going to get wrinkled and you're going to see it on the camera. You don't want to wear that fabric." I said, "But he told me it doesn't wrinkle." And the junior guy looked at me and he goes, "Oh." And I almost bought a very expensive suit that I would have had in my closet and never be able to wear because it wrinkled all the time. I can't wear suits that wrinkle.
Yeah, it's an ongoing challenge, but that's the business we're in, right? We're in that business to create the proper look. We talked about the word retail, right? To keep it retail inspired, make it fit well, be on trend, but it also has to last.
Right. And this is why I wear the same pair of jeans every day, Anthony. So I don't have to worry
I
about
smell
these.
it. I mean, I see it. So what's the one thing, before we end the podcast, what's the one thing that if I'm a general manager and owner of a hotel, what's the biggest challenge that you find with those positions? And what's the way to kind of comfort them? I don't know if I answered that.
You mean to get them on the same page with the uniform program
Basically,
that they want them to?
I'm about to open a hotel.
Yeah.
And your uniforms are beautiful. They're too expensive. I can't afford them. What do I do?
A lot of deep breaths.
I like the way I got the mic right away on that one.
I've never seen anyone move faster in my life to push a microphone away.
The mic is.
because
that's a hard
I
thing.
agree. I agree, and I think it is all about the story.
Because I've been in that position. With your company
we're
20
in that
years ago when I'm like, I love it, but it's a little...
I think we're in the position all the time, and it's about value. It's about showing that value to all the things we talked about before. So how important is that engagement? How important is the brand, the first person that you walk into? I'm very quick to use things like the least expensive renovation you can ever do is change the image. No dust, no nothing, and you get the most immediate impact 100%. For the least amount of cost.
Now Todd wants the mic back.
Just thinking about it, Anthony. I think the biggest challenge is if we could just have transparency with the GM in terms of what they're able to do. Because the beautiful thing about Cintas is we do have a good, better, best strategy. We've got the ability to design anything in any fabrication. We've got the ready-to-wear line that's sitting on the shelf, and we can put together any combination of those things based on somebody's budget and timeline. So, if you tell me you've got 6 to 8 months, then we can do a bang-up job of making sure that we vet everything and get everything buttoned up and perfect. If you tell me, gosh, I need it in 10 days, forgot about it, didn't know about it, we can still come in and help you.
That happens a lot, right?
Yeah, and oftentimes we'll get you in something that may not be your ideal situation, but looks fantastic for you until we can get you into your ideal situation. So I think the beautiful thing about us is it really we do have the flexibility to kind of scale based on budget and size.
And what I find when I'm making decisions, because one of the things that people don't understand as a general manager, if I'm working in a building that's worth $1 billion, right, which I've worked in billion-dollar hotels, I make a decision to change the linen, right? So say I change one par of linen. That's maybe $400,000. I make a decision to change the uniform. Maybe that's $400,000. Now, my butt's on the line to justify that expense. The way that I make my decisions, especially if it's in a good, better, best, if I'm going from good to better, I want service. And one of the things, and this is not a sales pitch, the one thing that I've learned from Cintas, service is spectacular. People are there. People answer the phone. There's a company, which I won't name, it's a property management system in the hotel business. We all know it. We all use it. Matter of fact, you want that system because most people that go from hotel to hotel know the system. So the training is 3 seconds. So you want that system. When people come to me on a daily basis and say, Anthony, what property management system should I put in? I said, you should put this one in, but don't because the service sucks. And I literally say it. And they're like, yeah, but it's the best. I say, but the service sucks. And when your system goes down in the middle of the night at 4 o'clock in the morning, good luck in trying to get somebody on the friggin' phone.
Right.
So go to this company that it's almost as good, not quite. It's a little less expensive, but the service is 100 times better. Yeah, but it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that. If the system's down, it doesn't have anything.
Right.
And so service, especially in my opinion, in your industry, service is everything.
It's huge. It's huge. We cannot afford, again, not to have somebody in uniform looking out of place, right? So it's our job to make sure that we have everybody. Great example. We just rolled out a retail program for Verizon retail stores, 22,000 associates, and we had about a 3-week window for them to order and get every associate in the retail stores in uniform. We were able to accomplish that. And again, with all kinds of variation in size, right? And we were able to get every single person in Verizon's retail store operation.
When was the last time you heard somebody call you and say, my sales representative didn't get back to me? Never?
It happens, but it's rare.
It's never.
It's rare.
Because I've been using Cintas way before I knew Dan. I've been using Cintas since I'm at the Plaza, and I've never had that problem.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to you talked about how you hire, who you look for, you guys show up. I think it has to do with we're about partnerships. We don't, that word's overused, but we believe when we have an exchange or we have a relationship, it's going to be for a long time. It's not going to be 1 year, one order, we're looking at that program for the long time.
Yeah.
For the long term. So that's the way we go into every single project, every interaction we have with our customers.
So are you let's take New York, for example. We're sitting on what floor?
37.
37 floors. It's amazing we still hear sirens in New York, right? But I'm literally looking at Madison Square Garden. I'm looking at the Empire State Building. I'm looking at everything surrounding us. We have the most beautiful view of New York City right now. But I'm looking at Hudson Yards, right? And they're building billion-dollar buildings. Do they find those residential buildings, do they feel that uniforms are critical in backing up their program in their building?
I would say, again,
I'm just curious.
I would say the trend right now is everyone sees a value in engaging and making sure that people look appropriate for the brand.
That's
Absolutely.
Awesome. That's good. That's good for folks like you guys.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about hospitality today, Anthony, but our business has a division that handles national accounts, so transportation, so the airline companies, the trucking companies. We have a healthcare segment that handles all of the healthcare IDNs and long-term care facilities. So I would tell you all of those, right, are looking for ways to identify themselves. And think about healthcare. You have 2 or 3 competing hospital systems in each and every market, and hospitals are reimbursed based on that patient experience. So how can we help? We can help certainly from a branding perspective in helping set that hospital system aside from somebody else. And then we can help by IDing the employees of the hospital when the patient walks in, so they clearly understand who's who and in what department to make their experience better. So huge play for us in healthcare, and we do about 30% of the postal service uniforms throughout the country, and then we're in Latin America and Europe as well. So it's a lot more than just hospitality for us, but it's by far our biggest division.
What's the biggest emerging market right now for
I would say healthcare is probably trending to be one of our fastest growing.
That does not surprise me, Todd, because I'm finding that healthcare are taking so many more cues now from hospitality, especially with the way hospitals in particular.
They're
are
hiring people
transforming.
from hospitality.
Yeah.
Well, even talk about something. Even think about something as simple as a scrub.
Right.
Look at the fabrications in scrubs now. It's not your grandmother's scrub,
Yeah,
right? It
I was
feels
gonna-
like a Lululemon
So
scrub.
what is the
right?
what is the difference? I haven't paid
It's more the
attention.
stretchy athleisure look now with the scrub
Just
garments,
even
right?
the designs that they have on them. now.
Absolutely.
It's-
Last time I was in the hospital, I was screaming because my bones were sticking out of my ankle, so I didn't recognize the scrubs.
you didn't notice.
I didn't notice. I was about second from blacking out. But it's true. Like I just went to Spain and went to Porcelanosa,
Right.
and they have a material. I don't know if you went to that factory.
I did.
When you were out there. They have a material that they put into the manufacturing of tiles and walls, and that actually cleans the air. Did you see that?
Yeah.
And
Creon.
what is it called?
Krion. Creon.
Creon.
It's actually a major design element of the Radisson Blue Minneapolis at the Mall of America. You know that big white wall that they have there? That's made out of material.
I didn't know that.
And
Yeah.
tell them about how it cleans the
Yeah,
air.
so it takes any of the icky stuff that's in the air and sucks it into it and cleans it and spits back out clean air. It's amazing how that works.
Hospitals are going crazy for this thing. And I was when I walked into the factory, and I didn't know what factory I was walking into. I was like, it just feels better in here. And then I walked into this room, and it felt even better in the room. And they put the video on, and I go, oh my God, it's cleaning the air.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
Were you in that showroom where they had all the Creon?
Yeah. So it's like things are changing.
Absolutely.
My point is technology and fabrics and everything, it's changing. And, and the companies that don't see that, and one of the reasons Dan and I always get along is because he's always chomping at the bit. He's like, the guy's always chomping at the bit. He's always thinking of the next thing. He's always understanding how important the guest is. And if you don't, you become the next Kodak.
Agree.
Remember where Kodak?
Oh.
I'm sorry. Who?
Kodak even went ahead and invented the digital camera. Didn't know what to do with it, and now you see where they are.
Okay, and again, not to bring up bad business, but Viacom had a chance of buying YouTube. Okay?
Yeah.
YouTube is now owned by Google. Mm-hmm. YouTube is the biggest channel in the world.
Yep.
Okay? Viacom had the ability to buy it for $2 billion. Okay? Now, we went from MTV videos to Snooki and Jersey Shore. Remember MTV used to have all the videos?
Yeah.
All the music videos, 88% of all content on YouTube is music videos.
This-
and it's owned by Google. How crazy is that? Because Viacom missed the boat.
Yeah.
So business, my point being is, to bring it back to your business, is if you're not on the cutting edge, if you're not thinking, if you're not worried about the consumer, you're not worried about the employee, you're going to be left behind. And
Absolutely.
People are just going to remember the big white box.
Every day. I mean, that's it. Students of the business.
You look nervous. Every time I see you, you always look nervous if somebody's going to get an edge up on you. And I love that. No, seriously. You look like, all right, who's taking this over? Who's trying?
Well,
and I think you need that a bit. I'm always paranoid about who's doing it better, who's doing it, who's doing it faster.
Yeah, we have part of our culture at Cintas is positive discontent, and I would tell you
Ooh,
that
I love that.
there's
So let's talk about that.
Oh,
positive
positive
discontent.
discontent.
I'm using
Right.
that.
so it's never
write
satisfied.
that down.
Always looking over your shoulder.
That's kind of how I feel like I live my life, but I always looked at it as like a negative. But now,
That's
Thank you
right.
for that.
You do it in a positive way, but we
Right.
certainly are always
Because that restlessness that you have, if you harness it the right way, will get you to stay ahead of stuff, keep you ahead of that competition, beat them back, right?
And it also keeps you a humble leader,
Right.
right? It keeps you a humble leader because you know that there's always people nipping at your heels,
Right.
and if you don't perform, they're there waiting to.
Yep. All right. So this is going to be in danger of now becoming our longest podcast if we don't start to move in the right direction of wrapping this up. So we like to have the last part of our conversation focus on something that we don't know. So about you, something it could be personal, doesn't have to be too personal. So Todd, let's start with you. Tell us something about you that we don't know.
Doesn't wear socks.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
We know that.
But what you guys probably don't know is so I met my wife
Yeah.
on a blind date, Labor Day, and we were married December the 18th in the same year. So 3.5 months later.
Wow.
And that we were 21. So that was 32 years ago and 4 beautiful children ago. And best decision I ever made to move that fast.
That's incredible. My parents met on a blind date and also got married within like 3 or 4 months, which is unbelievable.
And I delivered our 4th child on the kitchen floor of our house in
You
Detroit.
did?
I had help, but I was there. The paramedics arrived
God.
just in time, but it was middle of the night, and so I usually use that one because that one usually.
Yeah, that's
So
a
what
pretty
was your
impressive
demeanor?
one.
Were you like, hey, everything will be cool? Were you running around looking for kitchen towels?
Yeah, so I called 911, and they literally read my address back to me and said, "We'll be right there," because I was waiting for get towels, boil water, do something.
right,
I was
right.
looking for a little help and direction, and they were there within 5 minutes. And but I had the head in my hands on the kitchen floor, and I
Holy
remember
cow.
walking out of the kitchen and looking back and thinking, "Whew, that's a mess."
So the question I have for you is, what did you think of the paramedics' uniforms?
A little blurry, but they did try and charge me for the delivery, which I did have an issue with,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, the doctor did, right?
Tried to charge
Not
you for
the
delivery?
tried to charge me for a delivery in the hospital, so we got that squared away.
and did you say, you owe me, buddy?
You owe me, right? Took some years off my life.
Yeah. All right. So sorry, Dan. You got to try to come up with something after
that's
that.
That's a hard one
funny
to top.
thing is, Dan's a little older than me. He delivered me. But it wasn't on the
Hey,
kitchen floor.
another podcast I heard you compared me to your age. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Well, you are like my age, right?
Yeah, okay, whatever. That's
I'm
good.
54. You're not much older
That's
than
good.
54.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I like that.
You're good, brother.
Okay, something you don't know about me. Everybody knows a lot about me because that's my personality. But I would say, as much as we talked about today, image and being buttoned up and put together, the minute I get home, especially this time of the year, shorts, T-shirts, flops,
Nice.
flip-flops.
Yeah.
Board shorts, bathing suits, surfing, beach, very laid back,
Are you a
casual.
boat guy? You have a boat?
My family does. I don't. Meaning travel too much, run around, but always on a boat.
I love that, and he's going out to Fire Island. So
Going out
that'll
to
be,
Fire Island
that'll
in
be
a
great.
week for the and same in the wintertime when it's casual family time, cooking in the kitchen. A lot of people don't put that together, with some of the personalities. So
Right.
that's me. Two side.
See,
Yeah.
people get that wrong about me too. It's like, do you ever relax? It's like I'm more relaxed than I'm uptight, but I look uptight just because I'm like positively discontent.
Yeah,
That's
positive
oh my god,
discontent.
it's like my favorite new tagline because that's me. I'm positive. I'm great. I'm fine. But I ain't happy. I have to keep going. They're like, you're always no. I'm cool. Everything's great. Life is great. But I gotta keep moving.
Yeah, I keep moving. That's for sure. I might be casual, but
Yeah.
I'm still moving pretty
Right.
fast.
So I want to know, just by round numbers, okay? And I'm not proud of this, but by not show of hands, but I'm going to ask each one of you how many miles, and you can't copy over each other. How many miles did you travel last year on a plane?
All right, I'll start. Last year it was about 90,000, but I've done close to that this year already.
We're talking about last year, Glenn. Yeah.
They're thinking they're adding up. He's moving the one to another column.
I'm domestic, so I would say, probably about 80,000.
Wow,
Todd?
I would say just probably shy of 200,000.
Woo!
So
200,000?
Yeah,
Well, does that surprise you? He flew in from Chicago to talk to us on the microphone for an hour.
Did you really?
But we're in Europe, we're in Latin America, we were in Asia. But yeah, last year I would say just a shy of
My
200,000.
biggest year was 200,000.
What did you
last year I
last
did
year?
about 70, maybe.
Yeah.
This year I'm actually on target to do maybe
Right.
80 or 90. So think about 4 people in this room. Between all of us, we've done about 400 100,000 miles per hour. So when people look at you and say it's easy, or people say, "Hey, man, you're so lucky. You have a nice house. You have a little bit of money." Right? It's easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
real easy. It's all that positive discontent that's making it worthwhile. Anthony, tell us something about you we don't know.
Well, you're going to hate this, but I told you at lunch, and you're going to have to hear it again. But, my favorite stories lately have been, because I'm obsessed a little bit about poker.
Yep, you are.
When I was away in Europe last week, I joined a poker game, $50 tournament buy-in, 70 people. I won 4:30 in the morning.
So
I'm crowned the grand champion of the poker tournament, whatever it was called. And I have a picture on my Instagram. And I'm very proud of that. I won $600 euros, and I was the only American in the room. And for 12 hours, no one spoke English but me. I think they were all, they spoke a little English, but I didn't speak Spanish. So anytime I made a good play or a bad play, they were talking about me in an emotional way. And I never knew when they were making fun of me. And it was finally, I got a little fed up because I made what I thought was probably a decent play, but actually it was a bad play, and I won.
Right. And
when you make a bad play and you win, people get upset.
I know. And yes, I do know what the word bandejo means. I know.
So I made a bad play and I won. And I asked the gentleman after about 3 minutes of them cackling back and forth.
Right.
I said, "What did I do wrong?" And he said, "Well, you 3-bet when he 2-bet, and you should have 4-bet or pushed all in, because then everybody else wouldn't have gone in and they would have gone out and I would have won." And I was like, "Whatever you just said, did I win?" That's all I can matter. But so tell us something we don't know.
All
Glenn.
right, so I will keep it with the style and stuff like that. For the last few years, I've really been grappling with this whole wardrobe issue, in particular because
let me help you, Glenn.
In particular because I'm doing a lot more speaking engagements and stuff. Last year or so, I bought a couple of nicer suits and stuff like that. But I know that I really need to get a style consultant to help me design a wardrobe with the right look.
You got 3 of us.
That'll help me really project the image that I want to get out to a crowd. I think that sometimes the words that come out of my mouth are good, but sometimes the packaging could be a little bit better.
I love that you said that, because I've been wanting to tell you that since the day I met you. And because he's really intelligent, really smart, but we show up together, right? It's like, this is how I show up.
Yeah,
it's
really freaking frustrating.
So I will make a deal with you.
Yeah.
I will go either to Dan's tailor or the tailor that I use, and in literally 1 hour, completely change your life.
Yeah, we definitely need to do something.
He might bankrupt you, but he'll go with it.
No, see, if we go, his tailor will bankrupt you. My tailor, we won't bankrupt you.
I'm just gonna.
Well, let's talk about this, okay?
Yeah.
What is a normal, not a apparel for a hotel, but what is a normal suit that you would wear? How much would you be willing to spend? Give me a number.
I don't know. I think it would really depend on how makes it me feel, and I know the image that I project, because if I see a good
ROI, if it projects and feels, how much?
I could. What you want me to say? I could say $1,000, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to get.
I can
the best
get you a
suit.
suit.
For $1,000,
I can get you a suit for $800
right.
that makes you feel like George Clooney.
Yeah, right, exactly, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. Not just suits though, but I also want some other looks, so I feel more casual.
Do you know the most important part of a suit?
Which is
the alteration.
Right.
I have I told you this before. I have a $99 tuxedo I bought on Amazon in a rush. I had to go out to Forbes thing, and I bought it on. It literally came the next day. It was $99. I put it on. I went to my tailor. That's my tuxedo.
It's all about
$99
fit.
tuxedo.
It's all about fit.
I was at this Forbes thing when we were there together. People were wearing $2,000 tuxedos. I was walking around with my $99 tuxedo,
right,
and I felt great.
Right.
And nobody knew the difference because it was all about the tailoring.
Yeah, but it's not even just like having suits and stuff like that. It's just about having something I can go to cocktail parties in, more casual events in. I just don't feel confident in that, and it frustrates
you will.
me.
Listen,
you will.
3 suits.
Yep.
2 cocktail.
Yep.
Outfits, dark clothing, a couple of really nice shirts, a couple of different pocket squares, a couple of different ties, and you never have to buy another suit as long as you live.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm looking for.
I have 14 suits, and I wear 3.
Yeah.
Because they're the most comfortable.
Awesome. Well, I think the only thing left to do is I want to thank you guys for being here. You've been so educational and all about the trends and stuff that we're seeing out there in uniform. So I think you guys have earned the right for a really good, shameless plug. So, Todd, maybe you want to just plug away. All bets are off. You're allowed to act like you're advertising now.
Yeah, Glenn, I would say we can help you out, right? With your wardrobe and your closet. Come see. We can send you on a shopping spree with a couple of our designers,
awesome.
and that's the way I roll. So No, appreciate the opportunity, gentlemen, to do the podcast. Really good time. Anthony, we've known you for a while. Glenn, it was great to meet you, and appreciate the conversation this afternoon.
And don't judge me by the company I keep.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. No, the shameless plug would be just watch out for the Design Collective, right? I think we're really trying to reposition our brand, and I would tell you in the 9 years that I've been here, a tremendous transformation, and it's really, you just look around, it's what people are wearing today.
Right.
Would you ever sell the Design Collective as retail?
You know, we talked about that, Anthony, in the past.
That's interesting.
And I would tell you probably more so, 10, 15 years ago versus the last 5 or 10. But I think, who knows? We're building the brand, and we know that there are a lot of garments that we have that are favorites. We go to shows all the time, right, where people will come up and talk about a specific Cintas garment that they've had forever. So wouldn't ever say never, but our focus currently is making sure that we're doing all we can to outfit the corporate world and making them look as good as we can in our assortment collections. So,
Well, I know a guy needs a suit.
I know. Hey,
all right.
Let's
talk.
I still got my summer 1986 Grateful Dead tour shirt, so I got that.
Cintas.com /Design Collective.
All right,
Jump on it.
Cintas.com/Design Collective. That's CINTAS. Like you guys didn't know that already.
So I have a question before we leave. Okay. 4th of July is coming up. I know he doesn't like to date these things.
I don't, because it's in the past now. I hope you guys had a great day.
So when's 4th of July? Thursday?
It was, yes.
So it was Thursday. Today was Monday. So 3 o'clock p.m. on 4th of July, where are you?
Well, my oldest turns 29, so we've got some family coming in, and we're going to be doing a barbecue in the backyard in Naperville, Illinois.
All right, so Dan, we know you'll be in sandals and board shorts. So
At
3
the
o'clock
beach.
on 4th of July.
I will be on the beach at 3 o'clock.
Yeah,
still on the beach.
Still on the beach.
Yep.
Okay, you have
I'll
have
the whole family there having fun. Meaning that's where, and then probably go back and barbecue.
Nice. What about you?
I will be in my backyard, surrounded by family and friends at my pool, and I will be choking back smoke because I still don't know how to barbecue.
Excellent.
How about you?
I will be in the backyard in my pool.
My backyard?
Hopefully at about 3
pool.
at my backyard, approximately 3 o'clock. I'll be popping out of my pool with the beer that I've been drinking to go over to my smoker, because I can handle smoke, my friend. Open up that smoker and mop my ribs, because they would have been in there for about 6 hours at the time, and with only 2 hours to go, I'll be getting all ready for that fall apart goodness.
I might change mine and go to Glenn.
I'll be burning my hot dogs.
Well, anyone that wants to come by the Haussman Pool Resort Smokehouse,
we'll bring you a suit.
Well, you know how I know it's summer because yesterday I'm waiting for my kids and my wife to come home. I'm hanging out with my dog, and I said, you know what? I don't drink beer. Mm-hmm. I have a case of Michelob Light in my refrigerator outside, because Italians have refrigerators outside in the garage. And Dan's shaking his head. There's like multiple kitchens in Italians' homes. So I popped open up a Michelob. I was like, I drink it once a year. I literally don't drink beer. And it felt so good. I said, it's summertime. And then I was like, I wonder if this beer's fresh. And I look, and it said 2016.
Nice.
And I woke up this morning, I didn't get sick.
That's pretty funny. All right, so, Anthony, how can we find you online, sir?
Anywhere you want to be, at Anthony Hotels.
And I am at Traveling Glenn. And be sure to give us the 5-star rating on iTunes and all of that kind of stuff. And since we're shouting out things, where can we find you guys online besides Cintas.com? Anywhere else? You got social media handles you want to throw out there? No, nothing like that? All right,
Dan at garlicgoggles.com.
You mean onion goggles. Although the new line of garlic goggles sounds like another great idea.
So for Glenn, this is Anthony. Thanks for checking in.
It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn, teaching you to be the hotelier that you wanna be. It's checking in with Anthony and Glenn.